Welcome back to Homelands on CFCR 90.5 FM in Saskatoon, Homelands of the Métis and Treaty 6 territory. This is Auntie Andy, and you're listening to Jonina Kirton, our guest, who is sharing some of her poetry from her lovely fourth collection. Save your prayers, just send money. Send money. Which I hope the coins have been rolling in. I was thinking of packaging up some 20s and sending them her way, but we had a discussion about that just before the break. You can also catch this on YouTube if you've missed any of it. And she was a previous guest, and you can catch the old episode that had her, a few years back. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more poetry. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. And I do have fibromyalgia, so there's this thing called fibro fog, and I just realized that I only did part of my thank yous at the beginning and the mentions, and I really don't want to leave anyone out. So I've got to thank Ryan Fitzpatrick, my copy editor. My God, what a patient man. Copy editing, it's tedious work, and you're looking up so much stuff. And, people have saved me from some embarrassing moments around, having inaccurate facts even or something, like having the time period conflict with the Monopoly game wasn't even invented yet, for example, like things like that. So I wanted to make sure I thanked him, and Talon Books is our who we work for, our publisher, and they've been published all four books. Fantastic. I highly recommend them. Erin has been helping me a lot with the marketing. Um, and the BC Arts Council I got a grant to write some of this book, and so often when I've been writing, my husband's been very sick. So I've had fibromyalgia, which is just sort of a constant. But then 7 years ago, he started getting very, very sick. He has a rare autoimmune disease, which has left him with a fibrosis wrapped around an aorta. It's complicated, killed a kidney. We've been through hell and back with it. And so I've still been writing books, plus my own fibromyalgia. So, people think I'm doing a lot, and to me I'm not doing enough. It's the curious thing about, I feel like I wish I could do so much more. So I do feel lucky though that I was able to write these books. And so this book also has, the latest one also has a bit of a chapter about my marriage, a little bit on that. But first, before that, it has a chapter called Have You Tried Yoga? Um, yeah, everyone who has a chronic illness laughs when they hear that statement. And there's nothing wrong with yoga. It's wonderful, and I'm sure it works for some people, but it's not the fix all for everything. And we get the list, people go off on the list of things that, you could try. And my friend was cured, and there's a this, and then there's a that. So I'm going to read a poem that kind of goes over some of the suggestions in a way that we get. Yeah. And also sort of the complexity of what you're dealing with when you're dealing with someone like fibromyalgia. The symptoms are endless and they change constantly. So it's called It's Complicated. The thirst for honesty became a twinge between bones made brittle by lack, osteo offered as explanation. Big toe pain, orthotics, feet, inflamed Achilles tendon, calcification in neck, unheard of, or simply rare. No treatment offered. Silenced again and again, making it necessary to swallow big gulps, air bubbles, all that was dismissed, traveling bowels, impacted, until I threw up every day for 30 days. Tests revealed esophagus burning red becomes a concern, acute diagnosis, misdiagnosis. Something's missing, stings, shows up in other places, sores in mouth, places I shall not name. Swelling, so much swelling until CBD, an answer to an allergy. Expensive. Diets offered as first defense against the enlarging. Next comes the cascade of online suggestions. Have you tried yoga? Lemon cleanses, turmeric, all the I have a friend who was cured. She saw a shaman in South America. There was a ceremony. Ayahuasca, an answer you can't afford. I don't tell them that I once laid in a bed with chakra colored pin lights created by a man of faith, John of God, celebrated con man, sexual predator, a healer with many followers, and desperate to be healed, we all prayed, longed to be made worthy of wellness so that everyone would know we did try hard enough. So I cover a bit of the wellness industry. There's the good and the bad of it. Consider myself a recovering New Ager. And there are many things I loved about that time. And the people, some of them are wonderful. But it is once money enters the scene, it becomes something altogether different, right?
Yeah, and that's a powerful poem because I think anybody who's gone through any kind of health issue has had that unwanted, unsolicited list of have you tried this? I just saw an infomercial on, and even, if you go on Facebook, you get lambasted by ads for all kinds of worm parasite cleanses and just like yeah, it's endless. Yeah.
Sorting through it is really difficult because there are some things that actually do work. And so then sorting through what it is, and then there's the expense of it. So I have a poem in here, which I won't read because it's very long, and uh, but it's called The Cost of Living. And it lists all of the expenses that I personally have in one year. Not my husband's, just mine. And we live on CPP and old age pension. As seniors, we don't have pensions. We don't have like from work in the past or whatever. And the expenses to try to keep hold the body together. And then so some of the things you can't afford. And sort of the disdain that's sometimes offered to you because you can't afford something. We felt that sting many times over the years. I'm sure I know you have as well. When someone is like, "Oh, you can't afford that," like as if it's a judgment of you, as something that you've done wrong. Yeah. So um, that can be very frustrating. And so then and people mean well. I mean, let's face it, they want to help, but I also suspect they don't want to think about the fact that this could be them, that this is serious, and that through things like my condition, it's uncurable. They really do not like, the public does not like the uncurable piece of things. They want you to beat cancer. They want you to, get on top of whatever it is, right? And some of the things that are offered, people start getting on a train, like regulating your nervous system. These meditations, they actually make me more anxious. So they don't necessarily work for everybody. Um, so that had to be there. We had to put that chapter in there to just talk a bit about my experience with those things. I just want to read one more poem, if I may, and it does come with a trigger warning, and it relates to this. It's called On the Verge. It comes with a quote: "Too much health is like too much light. It blinds." It's hard for people who have health to understand and see. So it's from Merritt Evans, A Ray of Darkness, written in 1953. Sometimes when I say I'm tired, people say I'm tired too. And when I say I'm in pain, they say we all have pain. I've stopped sharing that last night I only slept 3 hours, that I sat rocking myself for hours, then spent time pacing the hallway, fell asleep at 6 a.m., up at 9 a.m., knowing it will all begin again. I never tell them I'm not sure how much longer I can do this. And I think this is the part that people miss, is the length of it and the long loneliness of it. So I'm up all night. It's kind of lonely and boring. What do? You can't read a book, and you are in pain, and so you're uncomfortable. So you're not able to really do something. And yeah, I think that I would love to think, I don't think they track the statistics properly, probably around how many do take suicide as an option. And I know since MAID has come out, there are people, and I understand MAID's a complicated issue. I really do. But I also do think, as a person who's been a chronic pain sufferer this long, it is an option that I would like to exercise eventually. There's only so much one can take, right? And so I do not generally let people know, even though I'm telling all these stuff in this book in here, I do not generally let people know what an actual day looks like for me. I'll just quickly say what that is. I might get up at 11, 12 if I've gone to sleep at 6 or 7 or 9 in the morning. And I will put on my pajamas, are still on, and I wear my beautiful pajamas because that's all I wear. And I'll generally just get dressed to go out to the store, have a shower, get dressed to go out. The second I'm home, the clothes come off because even earrings, which I don't have on today, bras, underwear, clothing is an issue. So I need a nice loose gown. And then I'm hitting the couch, and that's my day. I'll have a window sometimes where I can get on the computer and maybe work for 4 hours or something. Those are great days. But yeah, there's not a lot that I'm able to do in a day. So what I managed to do is probably a miracle, given the number of hours I can devote to it. But it gets boring and lonely. And then when my husband was sick himself, that got very lonely. So let's go to my husband, to the chapter called Love and Marriage, No Baby Carriage. So this is looking at, well, here I am with fibromyalgia since I was 50. He's taken care of me quite a bit, and in ways that, we don't normally talk about, but, he does the dishes, he cooks the food, sometimes he gets the groceries, sometimes he does everything if I'm not well enough to do that. And then now suddenly he's sick. And now what, hey? So we've been through a lot together, and some of it is he had COVID, and I was told he was dying. I was told to come and say goodbye to him, which I did. And everyone's heard this story probably many times if they've heard my story. As I was leaving, he had that sparkle in his eye, even though he's dying, and he says, "Wouldn't it be funny if I got better now that I've seen you?" He had just been alone in the ICU for 6 weeks, and he did recover. But he still has his other health issues. So there's been a lot of ambulance calling. And I think that this is something that, is a trauma that I've not heard people talk a lot about. It's traumatic to have to call an ambulance for someone that you love because you're calling them because it's serious and you're scared. And how long will it take for them to get there? And all of those things, right? And is this the time he's going to die? Is this the one? So I may read a poem about some of it's kind of funny in a way because he also doesn't seem to remember a lot of things. So I'm the one that's remembering what's taken place. This one's called They Never Asked. Another call to 911. Soon 3 paramedics cram into our tiny bedroom. We on repeat report while one of them records. The other seeks blood pressure. The young one pulls out needles, a bag of fluids, an IV inserted quickly. Efficient. They are efficient. Hovering at the door, there is a wife. I am the wife. In and out as I pack his bag, I have done this before. I am efficient. Everyone moving, we are all efficient. The paramedics lead a tall man, my man, barefoot to the too short stretcher. All of us in the hall, a crowding occurs. I in red flannel, nighty, give him kiss goodbye. Hear the elevator door open. Another kiss, just in case. I return to the silence, collapse in armchair where I pray for him. Pray for sleep, but none comes. Next morning, rushing to the hospital. My neighbor, a widow, stops me in the hall. Are you okay? I say he's in the hospital again. She shakes her head, asks, how are you doing? Tears of remembrance fill her eyes as she says, it's always, how is he doing? And so I've lived where there's a lot of widows. I'm in seniors housing, and their kindness has been really, really important. They understand what it's like. Many of them have had husbands who were sick a long time before they passed away. So they've been very kind to me. And he doesn't remember the other, there was another time he called me to go get his sweater. Like he was in the ambulance and he phones me and he says, bring my sweater down. And I said, I think you've already left. I'm sure you've already gone. He says, oh no, we're circling the block. We're coming back for my sweater. So I'm running downstairs with his sweater and I get down there and of course he's not there. And I hear the ambulance guy go, we've arrived at the ER. Like he's, so there was really some funny, like crazy kind of stories of his poor guy. He's just so lacking of oxygen sometimes is what it was. And yeah, just really, and then he comes back. He comes home, he's fine, he looks great, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's amazed us all. So I don't know what to do next. I think, would you like to hear a little bit about the last chapter, which is really my favorite?
Yeah, let's go there. Let's go there. We have about just over 10 minutes left. Yeah.
Okay, so the last section is called To Be a Daughter, and it borrowed that To Be a Daughter from a poem by Nikita Gill. I just love that idea of to be a daughter and the message behind being a daughter. What does that mean? And really, the expectations that are on us. Anything from when my mother was dying, that she asked me to sit with her while she was dying. My dad and my brothers, she didn't ask them. She said, when I'm unconscious and I'm in the hospital, she was a nurse. She knew it was coming. Don't leave my side. So 10 days I laid in a cot beside her and only left to go shower every once in a while. But that expectation wasn't there of my dad or my brother. So to be a daughter and the power of women, we have a lot of power. I'm going to read this one about our bodies, another way of knowing. Women's bodies know the turning, they feel the shifting ground, find ways around it. Women's bodies know the waiting, how time turns on itself. Women's bodies know there is space between one sound and the next. Women's bodies know the night sky, how close we are to the stars, that the ancestors hold us when our mouths form O's.
I love that. I love that so much. I love how your collection, it's like you said, it is written, about women and for women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
largely. And some men may find things in here, but yeah, there's others. So I think often about like what makes me happy because I'm when you're in pain a lot and you can't go out a lot, and then you got to find some way to find some joy, some magic. And of course, my grandson helps me a lot with that. But also my imagination and remembering and some of the things that I've done over the years for healing. This poem's called Buoyant. It comes with a quote from David R. Hawkins, a book called Power versus Force, which is really something to think about, the difference between power and force. As will be seen, the body can discern to the finest degree the difference between that which is supportive of life and that which is not. Theta breath spreads throughout, leaves a trail, mouse tracks, tiny travelers of my spine. Some branch out, spread to fingers, toes, the top of my head, where the ruffling of hair creates an inner warmth. Fluttering of fingers reminds of kelp in sea, waving, once again fluid. My inner child goes from rocking to soothe herself to swaying side to side. I was meant for softness, my body buoyant in water, where I am free. Water's a big part of my life.
Mhm. We can all relate to that. I mean, we come from water, right? We come from water. We all come from the womb and we're in that water. And there's something about being, supported by the water and feeling that weightlessness and that joy, that healing. Water's healing. I love going for swims with a friend of mine and yeah, yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And I have I've sort of been coming across this idea that we came from the water. So I could end with a poem that talks about that. And the theory is that we come from sea squirts. And if anybody wants to just look them up, you could just Google sea squirts, and they come in many different colors. They're like a tubular thing in the ocean attached to coral. You can kind of sway because the water's moving them. They're really the beginning, like our gut, essentially, in and out. So this has a reference to them as our earliest ancestors. In the swaying, a memory, we rode the waves of knowing, not knowing that we are one, that we all rose from the sea, that we are all muscle, memory, many neurons firing inside an evolution. Rhetoric incoming, a constant attack, inside, outside, so many veto points, and somehow, in the midst of it all, I delete all my emails. One compassionate act for my body, unintended, and later that day at the mall, a sign, do not lean on the glass. I smile, write that down. It could be a poem. Find a table at the food court, open a book, turn to science, a lineage I can trace back to water. The sea squirt waving, all of us clumped together, our rounded bodies firmly fixed to coral, water in, water out. We resonated, left room for each other. Our watery movements, muscle memory, I can feel. No one knows what I dream of, how I imagine all of us swaying in the food court. No one knows we could synchronize, move as one. If only we could remember where we came from and the days we spent swaying together, moving as one. I think of why we want to gather, like in the food court or wherever. We're just like we really have that. I think we have that memory of.
I love that imagery of everybody in the food court, kind of like one of those I don't know if you've ever seen those choreographed where all of a sudden everybody bursts into kind of a number, a musical. Usually it's at a food court or someplace public. I was just watching one the other day where a DoorDash delivery guy they did a whole Aladdin number for him. They had like a guy on an elephant on a truck throwing coins down, and they were singing the song Prince Ali, mighty is he, Ali Ababwa. They had this huge parade. They had actual monkeys and camels. It was amazing. And it was all
Oh,
for a DoorDash delivery guy.
and we need to find joy wherever, hey? And so
Yeah,
those moments, yeah, I look for some those kinds of things on Instagram
yeah.
and the jokes, the memes. Oh my God, I spend an hour laughing.
Well, we still have like a couple of minutes left. You kind of alluded to it a little bit, like how you miraculously, despite having no day, you get work done. Is there any other kind of like tricks or tips you have for like like for me, I just started uh I phoned my mom this morning actually at 9:30 and I just said, Mom, I don't know how you did it. I have early onset arthritis. And so like last night, for example, I would try to turn on my side, and if I tried to either side, I couldn't do it. I would have to lie straight with my knee straight. And it was so like vexing all night because I would, I like to side sleep, but I can't because of my knee. And it's just like that's just one small example. And I'm like, she lived with arthritis for most of her adult life. She's had two knee replacements and she's waiting for her second hip replacement. I'm just like, like so managing chronic pain and then fitting in writing, how do you do it? Like what kind of tricks and tips do you have for other writers.
Well, disassociating can be helpful. The strangest thing, because you're really tuning into, right, so you are connected in a way, but you disassociated from your body. Like you're just the head. And yet you're writing about the body, which is ironic, but that's from memory. And so it's sometimes that's it. And I will sit long hours. Like if I'm in the middle of writing a book or copy editing or stuff, there will be times where I will do long days and I'll pay for them. But yeah, you just that back to that how we began that pull. There was just this pull to write this book, and there's this pull to say what you want to say, and then there's this constant. A lot of it is just thoughts, right? So you're sitting in your chair, you're at the grocery store, you're going for a walk, you're realizing, oh, I missed this or I missed that, or oh, I'm not being clear enough. Like you're starting to, as you're doing, so that's not sitting at the computer, that's just thinking. And there's a lot of that that goes on for me, and that generally involves a lot of prayer, um, which I'm kind of feel bad to confess that I didn't pray as much for this book, Save Your Prayers Send Money. Maybe it had a psychological effect on me. I'm a little mad actually, so that's part of it. I'm a little mad, and so I didn't really want to talk to whoever uh, is responsible for the current state of the earth, and and I know that's not true 100%, but I am mad. I'm mad a lot. And I never ever used to allow myself to be mad. And that may be a part of the illness business, right? Is the speculation is that we're not allowing ourselves to feel our anger. And so then it's doing stuff in our body. So,
I've heard that, for example, cancer is a disease of anger, it's suppressed anger. So yeah, there may be something to that, that it causes dis-ease, and it's good to express it. It's healthy to express anger. Yeah.
well, that's what I thought of my mother, to be honest with you, because she was so angry with my father. She never left him. But I mean, they would literally, she would maybe she's literally beating on the back like he's falling down drunk, and she's just beating on his back. She's so angry, like I can remember feeling that angry myself with something. And I just remember feeling so bad for her because you just feel so powerless, right? This person is affecting your life and there's nothing you can do. Yeah, so I think that was part of her and the grief because she lost two boys. So those things as well combined. And we may be angry over the grief. Why did she have to lose two? I
Yeah.
was mad that I lost two brothers. Okay, come on. I literally was like, are you picking on me? Like,
Yeah, how unfair is that? Yeah, they were lost very young too. Yeah.
and isn't one enough? Like, I mean, come on, so there's anger in all of those things too that might be unacknowledged or we're unable to allow ourselves to feel.
And that's a huge part of life, hey, is feeling the feelings. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To allow it to flow,
Yeah.
so I think that's one thing that all Indigenous people that I've known who I've spent time with, especially the artists, we all seem to really know how to let our emotions flow. Like I remember being at the Banff Center and we had this big huge table, all of us, the Indigenous table. They set us all at the same table, whatever art thing we were there for, whatever program. And all the other tables would be looking at us because we're laughing so loud. And then we're crying. And then we're laughing. And then we're crying. And the people around all of us were like, holy cow. It was the first time I was really aware of how differently we operate. Feel I could feel the people watching us.
That's
Come
beautiful.
get over and ask to sit with us.
I want to be with the people that feel.
So I think that, I think that was more of our natural state for us. And clearly things have made that difficult for us. We've gotten hardened, bitter, sad, broken, whatever word you want to use. And we may not be as easy, it may be harder for us to flow. But I think we need to get back to the flow.
Well, it's a beautiful note to end on. Back to the flow, your next book.
Thank you so so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being with us. And you've been listening to Homelands, Jonina Kirton. You can catch the whole episode on YouTube. Thank you for being with us. You're on CFCR 90.5 FM in Saskatoon, Homelands of the Métis and Treaty 6 territory.